Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of Supercoach Swordplay. Before I get into this one, I do want to quickly apologise for not uploading last week. Myself and Diaz had some complications on each end of our computers, but we're back this week. I'm with my co-host, as always, Ryan. How are you this week, mate? How was your weekend? What's going on?
Hey, Johnny. Well, the weekend's going all right because, as you know, I'm a school teacher, so 2 weeks holidays, certainly can't complain about that. One of the perks of the job, for sure. So relaxing for a couple of weeks, which is always nice. A little bit more time to do some Supercoach research. But the trouble is, mate, technology has been failing me. My phone's buggered at the moment, so it's been tough trying to get onto you. No one's been able to call me. No one's been able to get onto me. So I haven't actually been talking too much Supercoach lately, which has been a little bit frustrating. But apart from the technological side of things, good to have a bit of a break. How about yourself, Johnny? You able to have a bit of a break yourself or still working hard?
Yeah, working pretty hard. I don't quite have that luxury you do. I do work school holidays, unfortunately, and yeah, my weekend wasn't too bad. Just played footy. We played against Gisborne, and they just handed us a new one. Had a pretty quiet performance, I thought, but the boys definitely made up for it on Saturday night. So yeah, we had a red hot crack, which was pretty bloody good, mate. How was your week? How'd you go in terms of Supercoach? I noticed it was a good week. What I thought was going to be a good week actually turned into a pretty ordinary week, and I feel like 2,400 was below par. What was your score and how'd you go, mate?
Well, I actually left a few points on the table this week. A late change in my vice captaincy plans. Obviously, Jarman Impey injured. That threw a little spanner in the works. But in the end, mate, score was 24.66, which I think may have been just a little bit above par because I did manage to rise in the ranks, and season ranking now is 328. So it's the highest it has been for the season. So in the right direction. But with my trade count and a couple of upgrades still to go, it's going to be tough, I think, to crack the top 300 and above. But if I can just maintain my rank at this stage, I'll be pretty happy with that. But Kieran Briggs filled in for me this week. Originally had Madden as the emergency, had Impey on field. Madden got a 50-51. I thought, oh, no, I can roll the dice on Briggsy. And 77, really impressed with that. Spills, I really need him this week. Don't know if he plays again this week. I assume Mummy comes back in. Teams up with Flinney again. But I must admit, one man that I have forgiven, I think I did mention in the podcast a week or two ago that if this man does deliver me a 150 plus score, I'm going to take the Muppet symbol off him on the stock market video. And that is the Great Dane. Zorko played out of his skin. And I'll tell you what, when I said I left some points on the table, I originally had this man as my vice captain, but when news of Impey's injury came through, I thought actually I can use him as my loop, and he plays one of the later games, so I can afford maybe not to go with Zorko. I'll go with Max Gawn instead as my vice captain into Jack McRae. So I really regret that decision. If I'd have kept the faith in the good man, then could have almost cracked that 2,500 mark. But all in all, can't really complain. Going up in the ranks and fairly happy. But I'll tell you what, Tommy Stewart as well. Talk about him a little bit later. But that was my round. How about yourself, bud? How'd you end up going up the ranks, or you starting to climb yet?
Yeah, I went pretty good. And yeah, regards to your VC, just reminded me of something. Your lessons learnt from last year was stick to your gut. That was the biggest thing you learnt in 2020. And like the viewers don't know this, but in our podcast last week, your captains were. It was a VC because you thought that Zorko owed you a few points and you were actually going to VC him. And it was really unfortunate not to see you go through with it. I couldn't wait to watch your video because I actually didn't know that you didn't VC him. And I watched your video and when I saw you didn't, I felt really bad for you, to be honest. Yeah. But he did that. And once again, mate, these bloody Supercoach gods, they're listening and they're out there. They bloody know what's going on because he's done exactly what you wanted him to do. He's responded when you needed him. So, yeah, that was, I thought, quite interesting. But my week, mate, I went not too bad. I thought I did really good until I checked where I was in the rankings. I scored 2,440, and I'm still in the top 3%, which is all right. I only went up 377 spots in the rankings, which I thought was absolutely ludicrous. I don't know if you agree with this one or not, mate, but I only had 2 out of 7 league wins, which was bloody shattering. When you score that high what much more could have I done? I had the C on Bonampally, and he went absolutely bananas over there in the West. So, yeah, that was very, very unfortunate, mate. But, yeah, look, a good week. Hopefully we can keep pushing up there. The thing that does set me back a fair bit, I'm still obligated to field 2 rookies in the forward line in CCJ and obviously Briggsy, as you discussed before. I did that too with the loophole with Bosnblagi on Madden. Didn't take Madden score, exactly the same as what you did. So, yeah, there's not much more I could have really done, mate. But, yeah, all in all, not too bad of a week, I don't reckon.
Yeah, well, you must be in some pretty good leagues because that was a decent score,
Oh,
I think. 24-50, whatever. That's pretty decent, I think, this week, Johnny. So just
oh,
unlucky. You
tell you
must have
what,
played
mate.
some pretty strong opponents, I think, in the wrong week.
My league, like I've only got one league for Spill Supercoach, and I'm pretty sure it's ranked in like the top 50. Like it is an unbelievable league, and ironically, I did lose in that league. I'm not surprised by that. I don't know how you check your league rankings, but yeah, I could not believe it, mate. It was very bizarre to see. Um, I'm actually trying to look at it now. I can't not look at it. I'm so interested. This is absolutely not okay in the middle of a podcast, but I have to look. We are ranked 44th in the Spill Supercoach League,
My
and I
word.
am 10th. So not doing too well in that league. And believe it or not, mate, you're at the top. So you're finishing on top of a league that is in the top 50. So yeah, that's really good by you, mate. But yeah, hence why I haven't been getting any league wins. I think the standards are set pretty bloody high.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. When I started playing, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, there was less competition. If you just did a little bit of extra research, you had such a huge advantage on the rest of the competition. But I think the difference these days is there is so much research that's readily available, so much data out there, so much content as well. So that is a
There
big
is,
difference these days.
yeah.
There's the competition, the gap has really closed over the years, and it's getting really, really tough even to get a top 1K finish these days. So, I think your expectations for a top finish these days probably need to extend a little bit. Maybe top 1,500 instead of the top 1,000 is a really good result these days because I know it's, really tough to consistently get these good results. So, yeah, mate, we'll just keep on trucking, keep on doing what we can and just finish as high as we can.
That's right, mate. Supercoach is a bloody dog eat dog world, especially now. It's, as you said, it's so hard to crack that top 1,000 each year. It's getting more and more competitive. DR, what is your headline for this week?
Well, my headline for this week, and I'm shattered to say it, but it is Jarman Limpy. Jarman's gone for the season, it looks like. And the most frustrating thing, I think, for owners is the fact that those of us who kept him after last week thought, you little ripper, 109, definite keeper material again, because lots of people traded him out, and we thought, well, that was definitely the wrong decision. But that's probably proved to be the correct decision at the end of the day, because, yeah, unfortunately, now he's gone. And the really tough thing is that he's still at a pretty low price point, so just above 400k. And for lots of people, if you don't have a good 200k in the bank, then you may be having to spend 2 trades to get him up to someone like a Dangerfield. So really, really frustrating. I was just banking on him being my F6 for the rest of the season, but now those couple of luxury trades I thought I might have had up my sleeve are now going to get spent on removing Impey and bringing in another premium this week. So headline of the week, Jarman Limpy. It's an unfortunate one, but I know he's a pretty highly owned player, particularly in the top 5K of coaches. So going to be really interesting to see what coaches do there in regards to Impey.
Oh, yes, mate. Look, as far as never again lists go, he's so far up there. Because remember, I paid up for him because I thought he was keeping material, and he's definitely going to be a top 6 forward player. I traded him in for 400k, and he left my team for 400k. So yeah, a bit of a nothing selection there. I would have thought my headline for this week, mate, was Bonampally or bust, and it was quite simple for me because I know a lot of blokes, including yourself, which is really unfortunate, that don't have him. He is over 700k with a break even of 119, and he plays North Melbourne this week. So the chances of him going
Oh,
down are probably a bit slim. He might. Oh, no, scratch that. North Melbourne don't tag, so it's impossible for him to bugger this one up, mate.
Don't worry about your vice captaincy. See, this is a tough thing this week. Is just say your vice captain gets a 135 and you've still got Bond sitting there as your potential captain. It's such a hard decision because
What's the
you think
threshold?
surely, I don't know, what is the threshold with Bond these days? And Bond's against North Melbourne. You almost want your vice captain to fail this week. I know that sounds silly, but you almost don't want to be left with a really tough decision, I think, this week. I'd
Yeah,
almost be tempted, mate, if I was a Bond's owner, just to put an absolute nobody as a vice
yeah.
captain and just leave, because you don't want a tough decision. It's super tough. And from a non-owner, oh, man, it's frustrating. It's frustrating not owning this man. So, yeah, good on you, mate, for trading him in. And it took a lot from you because it was a big decision at the time. You could have brought in maybe 2 premiums instead of bringing in Bont. What was it, about 5 weeks ago, mate? How long ago was that now? It was
Uh, well, it was when
4 or 5
Jordan was on
weeks.
the chop. Yeah, about 5 weeks. He was on the
Yeah, yeah.
pod.
It was a big decision
Yeah.
because you could have gone elsewhere with that money, but well done, well done. You stuck to your guns. You knew that he was going to produce scores like this, and well done. I was a little bit cheap. I was just hoping for him to come down. Hasn't happened, so I'm priced out now, mate.
I haven't got off yet, mate, because it still might be backfiring. Because remember, I'm an upgrade behind most of the competition at the moment. Yes, I do have. Oh, don't know if it is or not, but it's probably one of the best midfielders in the comp, like the best midfield structure. But I am short an extra upgrade in the forward line, and I can't upgrade this week because I don't have the funds nor the rookies to do so, which is really, yeah, a bit of a struggle. So the Bonampally pick, yeah, it's working really well, but it's affecting the team in other areas as you just brought up. Then if I didn't go Bonampally, I would have been able to go 2 value picks in the forward line, be an upgrade with the competition. That's probably why I'm in the top 3%. But once the team's finished, it should be looking pretty good because, yeah, it's hard not to see Bonampally in my team. He's my Brownlow prediction, and I'm not a betting man by all means, but I'm going to put my house on him winning this year. I think it's his year. He deserves a Brownlow, mate. He's been stiff for a few years now, but yeah, it's time for the Bont man, I reckon.
I agree, surely, mate. I've got him and Clary as my 1 and
Yeah.
2 at the moment. So see what happens. It's a pretty open race, but I think the gap's closing now, mate. He's a star. He's an absolute star. Not much more to say about the man.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Diaz Rant, have you got anything for us this week? Not really a whole lot went wrong for you because you've been going pretty well. There's not much to be that upset about, but have you got anything? What's on your mind this week, mate?
Well, look, my rant this week, it's not about a particular player, although it does have a lot to do with a particular player. It's with the coach. It's Chris Scott. So I just love Chris Scott when he was a player for Brisbane, real sort of hard nut. But lately, I just think he's an absolute knobhead, mate. I can't stand Chris Scott. Just personal opinion. Just, that's just my opinion. But what was he doing with Tommy Stewart over the weekend? Why on earth would you play Tommy Stewart as a lockdown defender on Charlie Cameron? He's not a lockdown defender, right? He's an all-Australian defender when given the role where he can afford to intercept, when he can afford to leave his man. He can't do that with Charlie Cameron. He's much too dangerous. If you leave Cameron or take your eye off him for a second, you've got a goal kicked against you. It's as simple as that. Cameron obviously got in his head as well. And I don't know if you actually watched the game yourself, mate, but that 50-metre penalty that Tommy Stewart gave away, that was one of the biggest brain fades that I'd seen in a very, very long time. And I don't know if you know, in the cash league this week, I was coming up against George, lost by 6 points. George
Oh,
doesn't have Stewart, so I've thought to myself, you idiot, you've just cost me another win here in the cash league. It's a pretty tight league, this cash league as well, that we've got going here. So every win's really, really crucial. But look, there's no excuse for that. I don't know what happened with Stewart. Cameron just obviously got in his head. I think it was, from memory, a free kick against Stewart. Cameron got him holding the ball. Then, when they sort of pushed down, bug you, mate, got you, whatever. Stewart just didn't like that. And I think he was just frustrated with the fact that he couldn't play his usual role and he just had to go everywhere that Cameron went. So it was a frustrating night for Tommy. Hopefully, lesson learnt, Chris Scott. Don't put him on the most dangerous small forward. Put him on some sort of dud that he doesn't have to worry about, where he can play his natural game, intercept. Don't do it again, Chris Scott. And Tommy Stewart, you need to take some responsibility for this as well, mate. Come on, you're better than this, mate. Keep your head, Tommy. Not happy. So that's a rant for this week, mate. Chris Scott and Tommy Stewart.
Yeah, never been too hot on Chris Scott, to be honest. I've never rated him at all. But yeah, you summed that up pretty well. I think you mess with a player's role, you mess with the player's performance, and Chris Scott definitely did that on Thursday night with Tommy Stewart, which was quite hard to watch, to be honest. And I knew straight away, as soon as I saw him on Charlie Cameron, I said, yeah, it's just going to be a shocker from Tommy Stewart. I've never seen this happen before. They need a lockdown defender. And there's a difference between a rebound intercept defender and a lockdown defender. And Stewart, yeah, he was playing defence, but he was definitely played out of position. So, yeah, definitely one worth ranting about. Look, it's time for Super Coaches Who. What have we got this week, Ryan? What are your Super Coaches Who? I've only got a couple because I was quite scrambling this week, but I think you might have
I've only got a couple as well, mate. I've only got a couple as well. Yeah. But my first one here, Super Coaches Who are now officially out of trades. Well, what do? You can just pray to the Super Coach gods at this stage, I think. Hopefully you've got some decent cover. And if not, there's not much you can do at this stage. You've just got to hope, no more injuries come your way. The really tough thing is when you do run out of trades and one of your Uber premiums goes down, you just can't replace them. And that really, really hurts. And that's why I always recommend people trying to have at least 3 to 4 trades when you complete your side. I know that's almost been near on impossible this year. I know some teams have managed to do it, and congratulations to you. Really good trading. Obviously, maybe a little bit of luck has gone your way as well. But yeah, if you haven't got any trades, just keep praying that you don't get too much more carnage.
Oh, mate, you got to have trades in the bank. I'd be happy with 2, I reckon, with a completed side. And that's like worst case scenario. Yeah. Like if, I don't know, let's say Josh Kelly doesn't have soft issues after the rest of the season. Fuck, we've got to replace him. Done, dusted. Jarman Impey last week. You can fix that. But yeah, when you got no trades, yeah, you've got no calls. So yeah, I agree with that one. My first Super Coaches Who is Super Coaches Who. This one's a stab at you, and I do apologise, but it's the only one I could think of. Super Coaches Who VC'd Dane Zorko, mate. If you're one of those blokes, I don't know many because there weren't many at all, but I do know one that was supposed to. That really does sting you. But it's a win-win. No, it's a win-loss because, yeah, you missed out on the points, but you still gain them because you own him. I don't own Dane Zorko, and he's making me pay almost every single week. So, yeah, it's unlucky that you didn't VC Zorko, mate, but the fact you own him is the reason that you're in the top 1,000 for damn sure, mate.
Well, happy own him, but frustrating when you leave a 2,500 plus score behind through one small decision. But that's life, isn't it, mate? That's life with Supercoach. My next one, mate, or my last one, as a matter of fact, is Supercoaches Who do not have the bond. It's a killer. I'll tell you, this bloke is Champion Data's love child. He can get a holding the ball decision against, a clanger, go at 53% efficiency, and just stack on the points somehow. Now, I know on the weekend he kicked 3 goals. I thought he had a super game. But the last month, 5-6 weeks even, the score that he receives, I just don't see the impact personally. And maybe that's because I'm really backing against him, and every little even 50-50 decision where is it a tackle, is it not, seems to go his way. And as a non-owner, I've got a bit of bias going, no, surely that wasn't. If I owned him, I'd probably be on the other side of the fence going, no, of course it was. So I don't know if it's a bit of non-owner bias, but I'll tell you what, I compared his game a week or two ago with Tommy Stewart. So Bont went 140 plus, Stewie was at 120 odd. I just couldn't see how that was a 20-point differential in Bont's favour, for example. So look, it's like a dagger to the heart if you do not have this man. I simply can't get him. Would I be moving heaven and earth? I'd be tempted to, but I'm more of a cautious trader myself. So he's out of my realms, but killing me. Congratulations that you've got him, mate. I'm ultra jealous, very jealous.
I'll tell you what, mate, just on Dane Zorko, he's priced fairly highly, and with a 170 score, mate,
it's almost 650, 49, I think, from
I'll
memory.
tell you what,
I'd have to check that.
if he's that and he's scored 170, he's going to go up. You might even be able to get Bonampally in if you've got that extra trade, if you've really that ambitious, because he's got a pretty easy run home and he doesn't look like slowing down. I'm pretty sure he still plays Adelaide. I don't know if they've played. I don't think they've played yet.
This week. So we'll get to our skipper selections a little bit later
He's
on,
got,
mate.
I
I think he's going to feature.
Yeah, I think he's got North this week, but I think he's got Adelaide at some point after it.
Is this Zorko?
Oh, sorry, no, Bonampally.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Zorko.
No,
Sorry,
no,
mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
North this week. Yeah, you're right. North this week. So that's what I mean. He's such an obvious captaincy choice.
Yeah, easy fixture coming up. So like, yeah, you could move out of your way to get him. But in terms of your call on Bonampally being overscored, I know I do own him, and there's no onus bias here at all because I tend to actually agree with you. I remember I didn't watch any of the game. I'm not going to lie. I was watching movies all day. I was so hungover. I was in a cocoon from the massive efforts on Saturday night, the footy function. But I think no crowd really turned me off. I was so looking forward to this game. When I woke up in the morning and saw that there are going to be no crowds, I immediately lost interest to it. I don't want to watch a COVID-affected game, so I didn't watch it. I remember checking the stats of him on the AFL live app, and I thought, hey, he's been pretty good, but he was on 55% disposal efficiency at half time, and I went, oh, gee, that's going to suck a fair bit. And I checked the stats because you got to wait until I'll look at Dr. Supercoach's stats. Shout out to Dr. Supercoach. Does a cracking job on Facebook. I looked at his stats at half time, and Bonampally was in the 90s at half time, and it's just fallen off your chair. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe. I didn't think he deserved it, but when you run the numbers, yeah, he has had a few clangers and free kicks given away, but those kicks that he has hit up, they're like 55-metre, like silver service, lace out, platter kicks, like unbelievable. So, yeah, he has a few clangers, but he makes up for it with metres gained. He's one of the best metres gained players in the comp. I don't know if you saw that clearance he got in this, like he had a CBA, got a clearance, he broke out and he hit up a bloke basically in the forward pocket. He probably carried about 60 metres and hit him right on the chest. And yeah, this bloke is a serious talent. And yeah, speaking of Bonampally, mate, this brings me on to my next one, and that is super coaches who aren't even worried about the VC this week because they're just going to straight up captain Bonampally. And I think I said that before, but managed to actually make its way on my super coaches who, because I don't even think I'm going to use a VC, mate. And you were really good saying, yeah, you could just chuck the VC on a rookie or something if you want to, and just
make it easy for yourself.
Make it easy for yourself. Just bloody chuck it on a rookie who plays on Thursday or Friday night and just see if he scores 100. Yeah, it's a good stuff by a rookie, but I'm not going to take that. We'll go Bonampally, and yeah, Bob's your uncle, mate. But that's my second one, mate, and actually my last one. I don't have a third. It was very hard to come up with a third Supercoach. So what about yourself, mate? Do you have another one for me?
All done for this week, mate. Short and sharp with Supercoaches too, mate.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty hard episode this week because not a whole lot's going on, and we've actually decided to skip locking horns. We discussed off air what we could be disagreeing on, and there's not much that we really do. And the points that we do disagree on are like the Poulter dilemma and all that. We've already discussed that in previous episodes, but we do have, well, not something that we disagree with, but something that we think that you guys, the viewers, will disagree with. And this is a perfect time to bring out a new segment called Our Big Calls. This is where we will each have one big call, just a small sentence that's either going to tick people off or they're going to go, yeah, I completely agree with that. And this is one that I'm really interested to get into because I know down the line we're going to cop a lot of flack in the comments for some, quite dirty supporters. And I'll get this one started, mate, because I've been really holding on to this one. I did say it in my round review, so spoiler alert to anyone that saw that. But my big call for this week, DR, is Draper is going to be a better ruckman than Jackson down the line. That is Spill's big call for this week, mate. The pick number 3 in the draft in 2019 is going to be overtaken by what looks like a list clogger from the Essendon Twos, who's really found his form, mate. Didn't have the best game against Melbourne, but watched him last week at your house, mate, against Hawthorn. Sky is the limit for this bloke. So that's my big call, mate. I've got plenty of them coming, and that's the first, and it's right there.
This is a big one, mate, because he's very highly rated down there at Melbourne. Had a really big start to his career also. They think he could be anything. But at the same time, Draper, I really, really rate him also. Really athletic, strong, and got that mongrel about him that I think you need to be one of the best ruckmen in the comp. So we'll have to follow that one. I don't think we'll know for a very long time if that big call is correct or not. Maybe bookmark this one 10 years down the track. If the channels are still running, we'll go back and we'll reevaluate the call, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, nice one. Nice one, Spills.
See how it works out.
Yeah, now, well, my one, it depends what side the fence you sit on in regards to this big call, but my big call is that I think Lachie Neale from here on out, so disregarding what's already happened in the season, but from this round forward, will be the third highest averaging Brisbane player in Supercoach. At this stage, I think that Zorko and Jared Lyons will average more than Lachie Neale from here on out. And a big reason for this is his shoulder. I think he's looking a little bit sore at the moment. I think that he will keep on playing, might nurse it through. I don't know how serious it is at this stage, but the opposition team, they'll constantly target Lachie Neale. And what happens when they do that is that really frees up someone like a Dane Zorko. Jared Lyons, they just never tag Lyons. So take Lyons out of the equation when it comes to getting tagged, because they're either going to go to Zorko or they're going to go to Neale. It's Neale 99% of the time, and then on the odd occasion, they'll go to Dane Zorko. So I think that Lyons is really, really safe because he just won't cop any attention. He'll do what he does every week. That's get the hard ball, get the clearances, tackle. He's just been phenomenal, had a great year. And Zorko, at the moment, if you take a look at his numbers, he's up there in the most informed players in the competition, not only just from a Supercoach sense, but the impact he's now having on games. It's absolutely outstanding. So given the fact that I think Neale will cop most of the attention, he's a little bit sore, he's missed out on some football, he's still regaining a little bit of touch. I think that game against North Melbourne, look at what every elite midfielder's done against North Melbourne this year. It's pretty much a given that, you could be on one leg and you could score a 140 against North Melbourne as a midfielder, I think. So I'd be a little bit worried about Lachie Neale at this stage and think that Zorko and Lyons will average more. But a big part of that is because of his shoulder, I think. Yeah. But is it a big call or not? People may agree, people may disagree. He may make me look like an absolute dickhead as a Lions supporter and average 135 from here on out. I'm not too sure, but that's my big call, mate. He'll be the third highest averaging player from here on out.
Yeah, that's a pretty big call. I think it's a pretty fair call as well. It's probably not as big as mine. I think a few people are going to definitely come after me for that one because Luke Jackson is a massive talent and I think he's going to be a great player. But this is one of the most biased Essendon supporters and I like what I see from the big man. And yeah, I do tend to agree with that one, mate. And yeah, bloody Zorko's form's unbelievable and Neale's obviously had injury setbacks and Lyons just never cops any attention at all. Might be the guy VC this week. But, yeah, definitely covered that well. We got our rookies next, and this is probably the hardest week I've ever encountered in terms of rookies. Probably one of the hardest weeks I've had in 2 or 3 years, mate, ever since I started taking Supercoach seriously. I've got absolutely nothing in terms of rookies, but you were telling me a couple of sneaky moves off air, what you might be like something to do with DPP and stuff and how that can work down the line this year, mate, in terms of the rookies and who we trade in. Maybe you can run the viewers through that one.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit team dependent, I think. Look, with my team at the moment, the rookies that I'm still holding, I've got CCJ, Poulter, Bianco, Newcomb, Madden, Briggs. So they're all playing at the moment. I'm assuming Madden and Briggs in another couple of weeks won't get too many more games in case of injury. Briggs may come in if Mummy needs a rest or Flinny needs a rest. He's probably that third in line, I think. But what I'm looking to do at this stage is I'm not even worrying about bringing in rookies that are actually playing. What I'm looking to do is bring in rookies that are 102K and that have DPP. And my plan is to hold on to CCJ, Bianco, Poulter. And then with my downgrades, because I will need to make a couple of downgrades in order to bring in Grundy and upgrade Impey to another premium forward. So my plan at this stage is to make sure that the two downgrades that I make are cheap DPP players. So I'll make sure that I can use Poulter to cover in my mids and my forwards, because at the moment I don't have a rookie that's got that mid-forward DPP, so he can only cover in the mids at this stage, or for one of those premiums that has DPP, like your Dusties, for example, but he can't cover for everyone. And at the moment, I've got CCJ in my rucks. So what I would possibly look to do is to trade out another one of my forward rookies and bring in Jacob Edwards from North Melbourne, who's 102k forward ruck. And then all of a sudden, I've got CCJ as cover in my rucks and my forwards. Poulter is now cover in my rucks and my forwards. And then Bianco as well. I've got Fife, I've got Laird. So I've also got that swing also. So I wouldn't necessarily look at bringing in rookies that are going to make a little bit of money. They're probably going to be irrelevant, that cash flow, because can you really afford to bring them in, trade them out? How long are you going to wait until you make your last upgrade? You can't wait that too long, because you'll be that far behind the rankings. It's not funny. So the blokes that you're bringing in, ideally you want a little bit of cover there, but if you've already got, your Brambles, Newcomb types even, you've got a couple of those blokes on the bench, they should be okay cover, I think. So I'd be bringing in the cheapest blokes possible. We saw what happened with Edwards. Was it Edwards from from West Coast last week?
Yeah.
Only scored a 20 odd, So
Yeah.
lots of people brought him in because they thought, look, he's going to make a lot of cash. He'll be playing. All of a sudden, his job security is really, really questionable after a 20 game. We knew this would happen when the Stars came back from West Coast. So my advice at the moment, if you're looking to trade a rookie in, cheap DPP, and try to keep on to these blokes if you can, like your Poulters, like your CCJs, Biancos, that have that swing. Even your Madden and your Briggs, remember there's a swing there that you can make as well through your defensive forwards. Even a Nick Cox, if you're planning on keeping him. There's a lot that you can do, and I think that when you're running out of trades, DPP cover is absolutely essential, mate. So that's what I'd be focusing on when I'm bringing a rookie in. Don't worry if they're playing. Go to your team filters, select the player selection, put the price right down to 100k to 110k, DPP only, and I think there'll be about 10 to 15 options that come up. So you've got, very quickly, because I know I've been probably rambling now, you got Fife, who's a really good one as that defensive mid option. Gold Coast should play later games, shouldn't feature on too many of the early ones because they're the big ticket games. You got Jacob Edwards from North Melbourne, who's at ruck forward, who I think will be a really good get, shouldn't get games, more of a project type player. And the mid forward you're probably looking at is Saunders from Hawthorn, 102k. Hawthorn have traditionally had a lot of the later games this season, so I think he's probably another one. And the other one is Josh Iyer. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Essendon, but he's a defensive mid. Defensive forward loop. Or is he defensive mid? I'm not too sure. It might be Isaac Chugg. Sorry, Isaac Chugg, I think, is the only defensive forward loop option that you've got up your sleeve. So I don't expect Collingwood to play a heap of early games. So maybe one there. So they're probably the four blokes that I'd be looking at trading in from here on out. So don't worry about any other rookies. Just get some DPP swing in, mate.
Yeah, I love that. Great idea, mate, because I'm shambling for cash and rookies as well. So, yeah, anything to save a bit of coin is ideal. And I think if you got a Bianco in defence and a Newcomb Edwards in the midfield, it's tough with the ruck because I've actually got Reeves in there. He's sort of just whatever. You can't really do much there. But when you got Matt and Briggs in the forward line, you don't really need coverage anyway. You've got it. So yeah, I'm all for that, mate. 102k duds is absolutely ideal for me. And it's pretty funny that you mentioned Fife's Sunday games, the Gold Coast, when he's playing prime time this week against Richmond on Thursday night. How
really?
He
there
is.
you go. Disregard what I said.
And he has played a lot of Saturday games because I've actually tried to use him a few times. He always plays on a Saturday afternoon, the Suns, which is a bit interesting. I thought they'd have a bit more Sunday games, believe it or not, but it's usually the Dockers. The Dockers get the graveyard shift.
That's true.
Basically every single week. They always play at 4:30 on a Sunday night. It's absolutely rigged. I know Dylan Buckley says that all the time on his podcast, and yeah, I thought it was a bit interesting. Dio, mate, that's all we got time for this week. really good podcast, I thought. Before we wrap it up completely, what are your captains going into round 16, mate?
Well, I think for me, the captain's pretty easy. One of the later games, Jack McRae coming up against North Melbourne. I'm hoping for a 135 plus type score. And lesson learned from last week, I'm most likely a week too late, and I know this, but I'm going to give Zorko a run. The only concern that I've got is after his recent performances, surely they've got to look to lock down Dane Zorko. Will they just let Lachie Neale be? They may think, look, he's a little bit sore. He's lost some touch. Zorko's the main man at the moment that's killing opposition teams. So we're just going to try to take him out of the game. Lachie Neale will do what Lachie Neale does, maybe get his 30 touches, but he hasn't been as damaging as of late. So that's my only concern about that. But with his ceiling that he's shown lately, he's really, really hard to pass up, I think, and particularly playing Adelaide. We've seen what good midfielders have done to Adelaide this year. So I'll most likely be going the magician Dane Zorko into Jack McRae. I'm pretty sure I know who your captain's going to be. So the main question is, who's your vice captain going to be, Johnny?
Oh, look, I've always said no one for Bontempelli this week. But in all seriousness, I probably will go Jared Lyons for Bontempelli. Just as a bit of a pod, he's always really good. And I think what's a bit more interesting is my captaincy threshold. Now, usually we rant on about the 125s, 130 rule, but this week for me, my threshold is, I reckon, 145. It's huge. But if Lions goes 145, I'll bank it. I'll actually bank it. But if he doesn't, I think I can Bontempelli against basically a twos team. It's gonna a good score is gonna happen one way or another. We saw what he did in the 2020 March series against North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. He just poleaxed them. They play at home. I don't really know what that means because it's both their home games at Marvel, but I know it's the Doggies' home games, or the home games, so they might get a few spectators. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but look, as a result, really good conditions. Bontempelli's going to absolutely star. So, yeah, Lions for Bontempelli for me, mate. If I can get a 145 anywhere else, I'll bank it. Other than that, it's Bontempelli every single day of the week, mate.
I can see what's coming. A 143 from Lions. A 143.
Not taking that. No way.
Sticking fat to the 145.
Yeah.
It's a tough week. It's one of those weeks where I'm shattered that I don't have Bond, but at the same time, I don't envy this decision that you've got with your vice captain. I don't know what my threshold would be. I'm a bit safer than you when it comes to the vice captain traditionally. Wow.
It's a high threshold. When you got Bontempelli in current form against like bottom of the ladder and no taggers, no bad conditions, I just can't see how he could go below 140, even if playing shit. I just can't see it. Even if he's really bad, his disposal's like 40%, like terrible. I just don't see how, like realistically, I don't think he can go below 130. If he does, I just don't see.
Champion data won't allow it. They won't allow their child to go below it. I'm telling you now. Something will happen.
In the Brownlow this year, I think he's going to be very overrated this year because, all the people behind the scenes of the AFL will probably want Bontempelli to win. I feel like there's a lot of money in it as well behind the scenes. So, one way or another, I think Bontempelli's going to absolutely star.
Oh, mate, we've talked about it. I just hate not owning him.
Yeah, I can only imagine, mate. Hopefully you can get him in very soon via Zorko, see how you go. But we'll finish up here, mate. Once again, really great podcast. Hopefully this one uploads. And, once again, really sorry to the viewers for that. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But that's another episode done and dusted, DR. As always, thanks for coming on. And I can't wait for the next one.
Thanks for having me, as always, Johnny. Good luck this week to you. Good luck this week to everyone. And, fingers crossed for no more carnage. We just need a nice, easy week. Premiums flying, rookies playing if we need them. Not too much to ask, is it?
No, not too much to ask. That's good.
All right then, Johnny. Good to speak with you, mate.
No
Chat
worries,
again soon.
mate. See you in the next one.